The war had no mercy. Every corner of the battlefield was filled with smoke, fire, and screams that did not belong to just one world. Humans and aliens fought side by side, not because they loved each other, but because survival forced them to stand together. Daniel, a human soldier, had been in many battles, but this one was different. The sky itself seemed broken, glowing with fire from falling ships. The ground shook with every explosion. His lungs burned from smoke and his ears rang from the constant thunder of weapons. He ran through the ruins of a collapsed building, searching for survivors. Dust clung to his uniform and blood. He wasn't sure if it was his or someone else's stained his arm. His rifle hung heavy, but his heart was heavier. Then he saw her. At first, Daniel thought it was just another fallen figure among the rubble. But when the smoke cleared for a moment, he noticed movement. Weak, trembling movement. She was trapped under a massive steel beam, her arms stretched out, fingers twitching as if calling for help. She was not human. Her skin carried a faint glow like moonlight on water. Her hair was silver, tangled with dust and blood. Her eyes, though clouded with pain, shone like twin stars, filled with desperate life. Daniel froze for half a second. His mind screamed questions. Is she friend? Is she foe? Will she kill me if I get close? But his body did not listen to fear. He saw only someone dying, someone who needed help. He ran. The heat of the burning ruins licked at his back. The beam was heavy, heavier than anything he had ever tried to lift. Daniel planted his boots into the dirt, gritted his teeth, and pushed with every ounce of strength his body had left. His muscles screamed, his bones felt like they would crack, but slowly, painfully, the steel began to rise. The alien girl gasped, her chest rising in shallow breaths. She tried to move, but her legs were too weak. Daniel dropped the beam aside, his arms shaking. Without thinking, he bent down and grabbed her hand. Her skin was soft, warm, and trembling. The moment his hand touched hers, something strange passed between them. A spark, not of fire, but of connection. Her eyes widened as if the world itself had shifted. He pulled, dragging her out of the wreckage. She coughed, dust flying from her lips, and collapsed against his chest. Her voice was faint, almost broken, but he heard it. You touched me. Daniel frowned, not understanding. Yeah, I had to. You were dying. But the way she looked at him, it was not the look of someone simply rescued. It was something else. Something deeper. Her glowing eyes searched his face as if memorizing every detail, as if something impossible had just happened. The ground shook again, another blast rocking the ruins. Daniel lifted her onto his shoulder. She was lighter than he expected, fragile in a way that made him feel protective. He ran with her, weaving through the smoke until he reached a safer zone. Human medics were shouting, carrying the wounded. He laid her gently on the ground, his chest heaving. Her hand, however, did not let go of his. Even when the medics came, even when they tried to check her injuries, her fingers clung tightly to his as if life itself depended on it. Daniel looked down at her, confused. He didn't know her name. He didn't know her people's customs. He only knew he had saved someone who might never forget his touch. For him, it was simple. He had acted on instinct. For her, it was not simple at all. As she slipped into unconsciousness, her lips moved once more, whispering in a trembling voice. Words he barely heard but would never forget. You chose me. Daniel did not understand then. To him, it was just an accident. A rescue. But for her, in that single touch, destiny had been sealed. The camp was quiet at night. After the battle, silence felt strange, almost too heavy. Fires burned low, tents were patched, and soldiers, human and alien alike, lay on the ground, too tired to speak. Daniel sat alone near the edge of the camp. His arm was wrapped in bandages, his uniform torn. He stared at the stars, wondering how many more battles he could survive. He thought of Earth, of home, of streets where children played instead of bombs falling. But his thoughts were broken by a soft sound behind him. He turned and saw her, the alien girl he had rescued. She was walking slowly, her steps unsure, but her glowing skin was brighter now, her silver hair washed and tied back. She looked fragile but alive. Daniel stood quickly. You shouldn't be moving. You're still healing, she smiled faintly. I needed to see you. Her voice was soft, musical in a way that calmed him, yet there was something strange in her eyes, a weight he did not understand. She sat down across from him, folding her legs, and for a long moment neither of them spoke. The night wind carried smoke, but also a quiet peace. Finally, she broke the silence. "Do you know what you did, human?" Daniel raised an eyebrow. "I saved your life." "That's all?" Her eyes flickered, filled with emotion. "No, you touched me." He frowned. "Yeah, to pull you out of the rubble. That was the only way." Her lips trembled. She lowered her gaze to the ground, her fingers brushing against the dirt as if searching for strength. "Among my people, the Lirari, touch is sacred. We are not like humans. We do not hold hands with strangers. We do not touch even friends casually. We save it for one thing only, bonding." Daniel leaned back, confused. "Bonding?" She nodded slowly. Her glowing eyes lifted to meet his again. Shimmering with tears, she tried to hide. "Each Lirari chooses one partner in life. Only one. When we touch, it is not by mistake. It is not for comfort. It is the beginning of forever. Our law, our tradition, even our hearts, they see it as binding. You touched me. You pulled me into life with your hands. By our ways, you have chosen me as your only partner." Daniel's mouth went dry. His heartbeat pounded in his chest. He shook his head. "That can't be right. I wasn't choosing anyone. I was just trying to save you." Her expression broke at his words. A flicker of pain crossed her face, as if his denial cut deeper than the wounds of battle. "I know you did not mean it. But meaning does not matter. The law is older than us both. My people will see it. My family will know. To them, you are now my bond, my soul's other half." Daniel stood up, pacing. His hands ran through his messy hair, his mind spinning. "This is insane. I don't even know you. I don't know your name." She closed her eyes, whispering softly. "My name is Lyra." The sound of it was delicate, beautiful. It hung in the air like a secret gift. Daniel froze, looking at her. Her voice had carried not only her name, but a strange kind of surrender, as if by telling him she had given him a piece of her soul. "Lyra," he repeated slowly, almost against his will. The name felt warm on his tongue. Her lips curved into a small, sad smile. "Yes, and now you carry it as you carry me." He sat down again, pressing his palms against his knees, trying to calm himself. "Listen, Lyra, I didn't mean to break your laws. Where I come from, touch doesn't mean the same thing. We shake hands, we hug, sometimes even with strangers. It doesn't bind us for life. You don't have to treat this like it's forever." Her eyes softened, but her voice was firm. "But I do, because it is forever to me. Whether you want it or not, I feel it. When your hand touched mine in the fire, my soul recognized something. I cannot undo it. I cannot choose another. You are my only one now." Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to argue, to push her away, but the look on her face stopped him. She wasn't angry. She wasn't demanding. She was afraid of losing him, and that fear cut through him deeper than any weapon. The night grew colder, the stars sharper. Daniel sat in silence, his mind torn between logic and the strange pull he felt toward her. He told himself it was just guilt, just confusion. But when her hand shifted slightly, resting near his, he felt the same spark again, the same warmth that had surged through him in the ruins. He pulled his hand back quickly, shaking his head. "I can't promise you anything. I don't even know if I'll survive tomorrow." Her voice was almost a whisper. "Then let me stand with you. If tomorrow is your last day, then it is mine too. Because from the moment you touched me, my life is yours." Daniel's breath caught. He didn't know what to say. His world told him this was madness. But in her trembling words, in her glowing eyes, he saw something humans rarely found: absolute devotion. He turned his eyes back to the stars, unable to answer. But in his heart he knew this was no small misunderstanding. This was the beginning of something that would change both of their lives forever. Daniel could not sleep. The night had fallen heavy over the camp, and the quiet felt unnatural, almost like the world itself was holding its breath. Fires from broken vehicles glowed dimly in the distance, and the occasional crack of a distant explosion reminded everyone that the war was far from over. But Daniel's mind was not on the war. It was on her, Lyra. He had spent the evening pacing, thinking, arguing silently with himself. How could a single touch, an instinctive, unconscious act in the middle of a battle, be anything more than that? He had pulled her from death, yes, but choosing her? That was madness. Humans didn't bond that way. He had never even believed in forever. and yet the memory of her eyes haunted him. Luminous, wide, unblinking, searching for something in him he hadn't known existed. And those words, "You chose me." He tried to push them from his mind, but they clung heavy as chains. By dawn, he could not deny it any longer. Lyra's presence had become impossible to ignore. When he finally saw her again, she was standing near the edge of the camp, her glowing skin bathed in the cold light of the rising sun. She looked smaller somehow, more fragile, yet there was a strength in her posture, an unspoken demand that he could not ignore. He approached slowly, wary of what he might see or what he might feel. "Lyra," he said, his voice uneven. "We need to talk." Her silver hair shimmered as she turned. "We do." Her voice was calm, but the faint tremor betrayed her inner turmoil. He stopped a few steps away, uncertain how to begin. I don't understand your people's rules. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to choose you. I was saving your life. That's it. Nothing more." Her eyes filled with tears, and for a moment Daniel felt a pang of guilt. Not because he believed in her culture, but because he could see the depth of her trust and the fear of losing it. "I know," she whispered.
"I know you didn't mean it."
"But my people, my heart, they do not see meaning. They see action, and action has consequences. Your hands touched mine," my soul responded. "You are mine now, Daniel, whether you understand it or not." He shook his head violently. "No, I don't understand it. And I can't. I'm not ready for this. I can't be your lifelong partner. I don't even know what that would mean. You don't even know me." Lyra's lips quivered. She took a slow step closer, her glowing hands held together, trembling as if holding back a storm. "I do know you. Enough to see your courage, your strength, the way your soul reached for me without thinking, without fear. That is why I know." Daniel took a step back, suddenly aware of the weight of her words. His chest felt tight. "Courage doesn't mean choice. I acted because it was necessary." "That's all." "Necessary," she repeated, her voice rising slightly but still gentle. "Or destined." He opened his mouth, but no words came. Her gaze softened, tears slipping down her glowing cheeks. "Daniel, I don't ask you to love me. I only ask you to understand that this is how my heart works. You touched me in a moment of danger, and my soul recognized its other half. I cannot undo it. I cannot choose another. You are my only one." Daniel swallowed hard. He wanted to argue, to reject her, to tell her she was wrong, but every fiber of his being felt the pull she described. It was maddening. It was impossible, and yet deep down he could not ignore it. "I can't promise you anything," he said finally, voice low, trembling. "I can't promise I'll survive tomorrow. I can't promise I can give you what you want. I'm not ready for forever, Lyra. I'm not even sure I believe in forever." Her shoulders sagged slightly, but she did not step back. "Then let me stand by you until you are ready. Let me show you what it means without asking anything else." Daniel looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, he noticed the little details. The way her glowing skin caught the sunlight, the curve of her lips when she tried not to cry, the subtle trembling of her hands. Each small thing tugged at a part of him he had kept locked away for years, a part that craved connection, warmth, and trust. He shook his head again, trying to fight it, but his knees felt weak. "This is insane. I can't do this. I can't be yours, not now, not like this." Lyra tilted her head, her tears glinting like tiny stars. "Do you know what it feels like to have your soul claim someone you don't even know? To feel an unbreakable bond from a single touch?" Daniel swallowed. He didn't answer. He didn't know how. Because even as he told himself it was madness, he could not deny the strange warmth that had spread through him when her hand had touched his. Her gaze softened, almost pleading now. "I am not asking for love, Daniel. I'm asking for understanding. Even if your mind says no, your heart already knows. You felt it when you lifted me from the rubble. Don't try to fight it. Don't push away what is already true." Daniel's chest felt like it might burst. He wanted to scream, to run, to deny every word, but the truth was stubborn, biting, and undeniable. Something had changed in him the moment their hands had touched, something that went beyond reason, beyond culture, beyond survival. And yet, he could not say yes. Not yet. He took a deep breath, forcing his shaking hands into his pockets. I need time," he said quietly. I can't just accept this." Lyra nodded, a faint smile breaking through her tears. Time, she repeated. I can wait. I have waited a lifetime for this moment. Daniel looked at her, bewildered, terrified, and strangely awed. She was calm, patient, and unwavering. Even as he rejected her, she did not retreat. She did not scream or cry. She simply waited, glowing in the dim morning light, her presence a quiet challenge to everything he thought he knew about life, love, and destiny. And for the first time, Daniel realized, maybe this battle was not against the enemy outside. Maybe it was against the truth inside himself, the truth that sometimes life chooses for you and no amount of denial can change it. He did not understand it yet. But he knew one thing with terrifying clarity. He could not walk away. Not completely, because Lyra's hand had touched his soul, and no human logic could undo that. The sun rose over the makeshift camp, and with it came the reality Daniel had tried to ignore. The war was still raging, but something else had begun, a war of a different kind, one he had not trained for. Among the Lyrari, news traveled fast. Whispers spread through the camp like wildfire. Soldiers, alien and human alike, glanced at him and Lyra with curiosity, suspicion, and in some cases admiration. The moment his hand had touched hers, the bond was noticed, even by those who were not present. It was written in the way her body relaxed when he approached, in the way she seemed to breathe differently near him. Daniel felt their eyes on him, weighing him, judging him. He shifted uncomfortably, realizing for the first time that saving her had consequences far beyond the battlefield. A senior Lyrari officer approached him, her glowing eyes sharp. You understand what has happened? She asked. Daniel swallowed hard. I think so. I didn't mean, intent does not matter, she interrupted. The bond is clear. She has chosen you. By our law, you are now her partner. Your actions have consequences not only for yourself, but for her and her people. Daniel's stomach dropped. Partner? This is ridiculous. I didn't choose anything. Her gaze softened slightly, though the firmness remained. You did, whether you know it or not. Do not make the mistake of denying what your actions have set into motion. The Lyrari respect courage, but they respect duty even more. You have a responsibility now. He turned away, trying to catch his breath. The weight of her words pressed down on him, heavier than any armor or weapon he had carried in battle. This was not something he could fight or escape. This was life-altering. As he walked back toward the camp, he saw Lyra waiting. Her expression was calm, almost serene, but Daniel knew it was not easy for her. She had been taught to trust only one, to give her soul entirely, and now he was standing at the edge of her world, uncertain and hesitant. He wanted to tell her it was too soon, that he could not shoulder this responsibility, but the words stuck in his throat. He felt her eyes on him, steady and unwavering. She did not demand. She did not beg. She simply waited, patient and enduring. Around them, the camp murmured. Some whispered admiration, humans marveling at her devotion, Lyrari noting his bravery. Others whispered doubt, suspicion, and fear. Some questioned whether a human could truly understand their customs, whether he could respect the sacred bond that had been forged in the chaos of battle. Daniel's chest tightened. He could feel their judgment, their doubts, pressing down on him from all sides. He wanted to run, to escape into the familiar chaos of war, but he could not. Not when she was here. Not when her soul had already reached for his. He stopped near the edge of the camp, gripping his hands into fists. I'm not ready, he muttered, mostly to himself. I can't do this. I can't. Lyra stepped closer, her glowing hand brushing his arm lightly. Not demanding, not pleading, just a touch that seemed to anchor him in the storm. Daniel, I know you are afraid. But fear does not change what is true. You saved me. You touched me. Our bond exists whether you understand it or not. You are not alone. Her words struck him harder than any explosion. She was right. He was not alone. He could not be alone anymore, not when she had chosen him with every fiber of her being. And yet the thought of accepting this bond, of giving himself entirely, terrified him. He took a step back, struggling for air. I don't know if I can do this. My life is complicated. I've fought, I've lost, I don't even know how to belong to someone. Lyra's eyes softened, her voice low and steady. You belong to yourself, Daniel. But that does not mean you cannot belong to someone else as well. You saved me because you were brave. You will stay because you are human. And humans, despite their fears, can hold loyalty, courage, and love. These things matter to my people. They matter to me. Daniel's heart ached. He wanted to reject her, to push her away, to tell her she was mistaken. But every word she spoke anchored him deeper. The whispers of the camp, the expectations, the judgment, it all became secondary to the pull of her presence. But the world would not wait for them. Even as he struggled with his feelings, the enemy struck again. Alarms blared, soldiers shouted, and chaos returned. Daniel grabbed his weapon ready to fight, but he could not ignore the thought of her. Lyra moved alongside him, her glowing energy shielding him from debris and stray attacks, refusing to let him fall. In the heat of battle, Daniel realized something he had not yet allowed himself to admit. He did not want her to be hurt. He did not want to lose her.
Even if he was unprepared, even if he did not yet understand the bond fully,
He wanted her by his side, alive, safe, and glowing in the strange, beautiful way that made his chest tighten. When the fight ended, Daniel leaned against a ruined wall, breathing heavily. Lyra knelt beside him, checking his wounds. She whispered words in her language, and though he did not understand them, he felt their meaning, a promise, a reassurance, a tether between their souls. Daniel closed his eyes, finally allowing himself to feel the weight of what had happened. The camp's whispers, the judgments, the expectations, they were nothing compared to the truth that had formed between them. For the first time, he understood that the bond Lyra spoke of was not just about law or culture. It was about connection, survival, and recognition. In that single touch, he had become part of her world, and in refusing to acknowledge it, he could only delay the inevitable, his own heart's awakening. He looked at her, exhausted, afraid, and uncertain. "I don't know if I can be what you expect," he admitted softly. She smiled faintly, her glowing eyes full of warmth. "Then be what you can, Daniel. Step by step, we will face this together. My people, your world. They can wait. But this is us. Right here, right now." He nodded, though uncertainty still clouded him. He could not promise forever. He could not promise understanding, but he could promise that he would not abandon her. And in that promise, Daniel felt the first spark of acceptance, the first recognition that sometimes life chose for you, even if you were not ready. For the first time, he wondered if perhaps, just perhaps, he had been chosen for something greater than survival. The battlefield was merciless that day. Smoke curled in thick clouds, hiding twisted metal and shattered earth. Explosions shook the ground beneath Daniel's boots, but his focus was entirely on Lyra. Her glowing presence cut through the chaos, weaving between danger and destruction as if guided by something stronger than instinct. Daniel's rifle was heavy in his hands, but he barely noticed. Every shout, every explosion, every cry around him faded into a blur. All that mattered was the small, defiant light moving beside him. She was perfect and impossible at the same time. One moment, Daniel had been leading a charge, eyes scanning for threats, mind calculating risks. The next, an enemy device detonated nearby, throwing him off balance. Pain shot through his side as he tumbled, his weapon sliding out of reach, and then he saw her. Lyra was in front of him, energy shielding him from falling debris. Her glowing hands held a barrier that shimmered under the debris' impact. Dust and sparks rained over her, but she didn't falter. "Move!" Daniel shouted, reaching out. She looked back at him, eyes wide, lips parted in alarm, but her barrier did not falter. "I won't let you die," she cried, her voice carrying over the chaos. Daniel's chest tightened. Fear, relief, and something else, a strange aching warmth flooded him all at once. She was risking everything for him. She had chosen him, and now she was proving it in every heartbeat, every move. He scrambled to her side, wincing as pain shot through his arm. But he could not look away. Not from her. Not when she was there, defying the war, defying danger, defying everything for him. The battle raged on around them. Allies fell, enemies advanced, and explosions ripped through the terrain. Yet in the midst of all that chaos, Daniel felt a strange clarity. He realized that she was not just his responsibility. She was part of him now. Every choice he made, every step he took involved her. When the dust settled and the explosions quieted, Daniel found himself on the ground, bleeding, exhausted, and gasping for breath. Lyra was at his side in an instant, her hands glowing as she pressed them to his wounds. Pain radiated from where she touched him, but it was also warm, healing, alive. "Stay with me," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the ringing in his ears. Daniel wanted to speak, to tell her he didn't deserve this, that he couldn't be the partner she thought he was, but he could not form the words. His mind swam with fear, confusion, and an undeniable, overpowering draw toward her. Her glowing eyes locked onto his, and in that moment, he understood what she had been trying to tell him all along. This was not about law or tradition or obligation. It was about recognition, his soul touching hers in a way words could not define. "Daniel," Lyra said softly, "you're alive. That is all that matters. You don't need to understand everything right now. Just be here, with me." He closed his eyes, the pain in his side sharp, but the warmth of her touch stronger than any weapon, any enemy, any fear he had ever known. The battlefield faded, leaving only the two of them, connected in a way that transcended culture, war, and reason. When he finally opened his eyes, he saw the depth of her devotion. There was no hesitation, no doubt. Every ounce of her being was devoted to keeping him alive, to standing by him, to proving that the bond they shared was not just law, not just culture, but something far deeper. For the first time, Daniel felt something shift inside him. The fear, the hesitation, the denial, it all began to crumble under the weight of her presence. He reached out, trembling, and placed a hand on hers. The touch was electric, a spark that ran from his fingers to his chest, igniting emotions he had tried to bury. She looked at him, her eyes glowing brighter, and smiled softly. "You chose me first," she whispered. "Now, let me choose you." Daniel's throat tightened. He wanted to resist, to pull away, to insist that this was too soon, too much. But he could not. He felt himself leaning closer, drawn to her in a way he had never been drawn to anyone. Every instinct, every thought, every emotion led him to the same conclusion. She was his. Not because of law, not because of culture, but because they had touched in a moment of life and death, and something unbreakable had formed. The camp's chaos continued around them, but Daniel no longer noticed. He only noticed her, the way her glow lit the dim battlefield, the way her hands trembled as she held his, the way her soul seemed to whisper to his, urging him to let go of fear. Finally, he whispered back, voice raw and shaky, "Lyra, I don't understand it yet. I don't know if I can, but I won't leave you." Her smile widened and her hand pressed a little firmer against his. "That is all I ask. All I ever ask." In that moment, Daniel realized the truth he had been avoiding. This bond was not just about tradition or law. It was about choice, courage, and survival. She had chosen him, and now in the midst of fire and blood, he was beginning to choose her back. The battlefield had demanded everything from them, and yet amidst the chaos they found something that no war could destroy. Something human, something real, something stronger than fear. As the sun began to rise higher, painting the ruined landscape with pale light, Daniel held her hand tighter. He did not understand the full weight of what had happened. He did not yet know what the future held. But one thing was certain, he would not let her go, not now, not ever. Because in saving her, he had found something he never expected to find on a battlefield. A reason to fight, a reason to survive, a reason to believe that even in a world full of death and destruction, connection, devotion, and love could exist. And he would cling to that truth, no matter what came next. The night was quieter than Daniel had expected. After the latest battle, the camp seemed to breathe, almost as if it were trying to recover from the chaos of the day. Fires burned low, casting flickering shadows across tents and debris. Soldiers slept where they could, some murmuring softly, some too exhausted to even close their eyes. Daniel sat alone, leaning against the wall of a damaged tent. His mind refused to rest. Pain throbbed in his arm and side, but the real ache came from within, an ache he could no longer ignore. Lyra's presence haunted him. Her glowing eyes, her gentle touch, her unwavering courage in the midst of danger, it all replayed in his mind like a scene he could not escape. He had tried to deny it. He had tried to tell himself it was just guilt, just responsibility, just fear of the unknown. But every time he remembered her face, her voice, the way she had risked herself to keep him alive, denial felt meaningless. He heard a soft step behind him. "Daniel?" He looked up. Lyra stood there, her silver hair catching the dim firelight, her glowing skin radiating warmth despite the cool night. She carried herself with quiet strength, but there was something in her eyes, vulnerability, that made his chest tighten. "I couldn't sleep," she admitted softly. Daniel nodded, unsure what to say. "Me neither." She stepped closer, lowering herself to sit beside him. Their knees brushed, and though it was a small contact, it sent a strange warmth through him, something deeper than he had felt before. "I wanted to ask you something," she began. Her voice was hesitant, softer than usual, as if speaking might break something fragile in her. "Do you feel it too? The bond?" Daniel swallowed hard. He had spent so long denying it, pushing it away, trying to convince himself he wasn't ready. But now, with her sitting beside him, warm and glowing and alive, he could not lie. I don't know if I understand it fully," he admitted, "but I think I feel it." Her eyes widened slightly, a mix of hope and relief shining in their depths. "Even a little?" "Yes," he whispered. "Even a little." She smiled faintly, reaching out to place her hand lightly on his. The warmth of her touch spread through him, settling in his chest, his heart, his very soul. "Then that is enough," she said softly. "I don't ask for more than what you can give. We will take this one step at a time." Daniel looked down at their hands, the connection between them tangible, almost electric. He had never believed in destiny or soulmates, never allowed himself to imagine a bond that could survive beyond one battle, one choice. But now, in the quiet of the night, he began to understand it was not just tradition, it was recognition. "You saved me," she said quietly, her thumb brushing gently against his hand. "But you don't realize you didn't just save my life. You chose me, and now I want to choose you too." Daniel's chest tightened. His mind raced with doubts, fears, and memories of all the battles he had fought, the people he had lost. Could he really accept this? Could he really give a part of himself to someone he barely knew? But when he looked at her, at the gentle determination in her glowing eyes, at the steady courage in her posture, at the way she had risked everything to keep him alive, he realized that he could not walk away. Not now. Not ever. He took a deep breath, letting the words come slowly, carefully, as if each one had to carry the weight of his entire being. "Lyra, I think I choose you too." Her eyes filled with light and tears shimmering in the dim firelight. She leaned closer, resting her head lightly against his shoulder. "Then we face everything together," she whispered. "No matter what comes, no matter what others say, no matter what the world demands, together." Daniel's arm instinctively wrapped around her, holding her close. He could feel the warmth of her body, the subtle energy that seemed to hum through her skin, and he realized that this bond, this choice, was stronger than fear, stronger than doubt, stronger than war itself. The camp around them was quiet, but Daniel could hear the whispers in his own mind. "This is right. This is real. This is us." For the first time in a long time, he allowed himself to hope. I don't know what comes next," he admitted softly, "but I know I won't run away from this. From you." Her smile was gentle, radiant, almost fragile in its beauty. "That is enough, Daniel. That is all I have ever wanted. You don't need to understand everything now, just be here with me." And so he was. The night passed with them sitting side by side, talking in whispers, sharing small details of their lives, laughing softly at things that would have seemed insignificant in another time. Daniel told her stories of Earth, of quiet streets and the smell of rain. Lyra shared glimpses of her world, of glowing forests and skies painted with colors he had never seen. With each passing moment, Daniel felt the bond between them grow, not because of duty or law, but because they were choosing each other. Every shared word, every gentle touch, every glance that lingered a little too long, wove them together. By dawn, Daniel knew something profound had changed inside him. He no longer felt fear or hesitation. He felt connection. He felt courage. He felt something he had never allowed himself to feel before. Belonging. Lyra stirred beside him, her glowing hand brushing his arm. "Tomorrow," she whispered, "we face whatever comes. But tonight, we are ours. Together." Daniel nodded, resting his head lightly against hers. "Together," he repeated. And for the first time, the word felt real, heavy with meaning and promise. And in that quiet moment, amidst the ruins and the whispers of war, Daniel understood a truth that no battlefield could teach. Choice was not just about action. Choice was about courage. Choice was about trust, and in choosing each other, they had already begun a story stronger than any law, any culture, any war. For the first time in his life, Daniel allowed himself to believe in forever. The morning sun rose over the battlefield, painting the ruined landscape with pale gold light. Smoke still lingered, curling from shattered buildings and fallen vehicles, but there was a calm now, a fragile peace that whispered of survival. Daniel stood beside Lyra, her hand in his. The glow of her skin seemed brighter than ever in the morning light, radiating warmth and hope. For weeks they had fought side by side, faced danger together, and survived when others would have fallen. But now the real test awaited them, not against enemies, but against the world that would judge their bond. Among the Lirari, their connection was already known. Whispers spread quickly. The human had chosen the alien had chosen the human. Some looked with admiration, others with skepticism. Many doubted whether Daniel could honor their ancient traditions. He felt the weight of their eyes, their judgments pressing on him. For a moment, fear clawed at his chest. Could he truly stand beside her? Embrace a bond that was more than friendship, more than alliance? Could he face not only the war, but the expectations of a people who had lived by rules for thousands of years? He looked down at Lyra. Her silver hair shone softly and her glowing eyes met his. There was no fear there. Only trust, only love, only unwavering belief. "You're afraid?" she whispered, her fingers tightening around his. "Yes," Daniel admitted, voice low. "I don't know if I can do this. I've never been part of something this serious, something forever." She smiled faintly, brushing her hand over his cheek. "You don't have to know everything now. You only have to stand with me. That is enough." He swallowed, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. She had been right all along. Choice did not need to be complete or perfect. Choice only needed courage, and he had found courage in the heat of battle, in her presence, and in the silent trust between them. Around them, soldiers and Lirari alike began to gather. Some nodded in approval. Others whispered, shaking their heads. But no one could deny the bond shining between them, a bond forged in life, danger, and mutual respect. One of the senior Lirari officers stepped forward. Her eyes glimmered with a mix of curiosity and expectation. "Daniel," she said, voice firm, "do you accept the responsibilities of this bond? Do you understand that it is not temporary, that it is recognized by our people, and that it carries consequences for both you and Lyra?" Daniel took a deep breath. He looked at Lyra, feeling the connection pulse between them. He saw her trust, her hope, and her unwavering choice, and in that moment he realized that he no longer feared forever. "I accept," he said firmly, his voice steady. "I choose her. I choose to stand with her, whatever comes." A soft murmur ran through the gathered Lirari. Some nodded, respect and relief in their eyes. Others remained skeptical, but even they could not deny the courage in his voice. Lyra's eyes filled with tears, but this time they were tears of joy. She stepped closer, resting her forehead against his. "Then we are truly together," she whispered. "No matter what, no one can separate us now." Daniel wrapped his arms around her, holding her close. He could feel the warmth of her body, the subtle energy of her glowing skin, and the beating of her heart. It was a rhythm that matched his own, a silent promise that this bond was real, unbreakable, and stronger than fear. For the first time, he felt a peace that had nothing to do with the war. No explosions, no smoke, no battle cries, only the quiet certainty of connection. He was not alone. He was not afraid. He was chosen, and he had chosen back. The camp seemed to pause around them. Soldiers carried on, but there was a sense of reverence in the air, as if the world itself recognized the significance of this moment. Days passed. The war continued, but Daniel and Lyra faced it together, their bond strengthening with every challenge. They fought, healed, and dreamed as one. In quiet moments, they shared laughter and stories, weaving a life together amidst the chaos of survival. And sometimes, when the weight of duty pressed on them, Daniel would remember the first time he had touched her hand in the rubble, the moment that had changed everything. He would remember her words trembling but clear. "You chose me." And now he would add his own words, whispered softly against her glowing skin. "I choose you." Through fire and smoke, judgment and doubt, pain and fear, They had found something stronger than any law, any tradition, any battlefield. They had found each other. The Lyrari eventually came to accept their bond. Some still whispered, some still questioned, but the courage and choice of Daniel and Lyra could not be denied. Their love became an example, not just of survival, but of humanity, of connection, of strength. And as they stood together, hand